You're listening to Airey Bros Radio. Be there or be square, because it's all killer, no filler.
And it won Best Documentary and won for for Homegrown, which means the New Jersey Filmmaker. 2000, I guess 8, 9 is when I really started to see there was more AA meetings backstage. We were literally breaking down the gear, breaking down the cameras, wrapping up for the day. I'm like, dude, you gotta eat a piece of meat, put some come on. What to do, how to act, make sure you do this, make sure you do that. And then the other half is shit not to do. Whole like straight edge thing, X's on the wrists and all that stuff. Like I was like, get out of here. And then if you have to walk. If you can run, go. Just keep going. I don't need you. You don't have to tell me you don't need me, because I already made the decision I don't want you. I said, I just flew 3,000 fucking miles to your office and you're gonna, you don't want to talk to me? Like, yeah, I don't have any of those big lightning bolt types of stories where, holy shit, this is what changed my life. This is TJ Hoffmann, and you are listening to Airey Brothers Radio.
TJ, we got introduced through a mutual friend, our buddy at Runner's High, Craig Siegel. Shout out to Craig Siegel. And we pretty much went through our first cycle of training and racing together. And then I discovered that you have made this amazing film and that you have this entirely different other life that you've lived in the music industry as a roadie and stuff. And so Jimmy, being a film student, a just recent graduate at the University of Denver, film and television, I sent him the link and we watched it and we're blown away. And so we wanted to have you on to help you promote the film and all that stuff, but then also dig into it a little bit and get to know you a little bit better about this whole other side of you, other than doing CrossFit and running ultra marathons and stuff that we find quite fascinating.
Cool. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for watching the film. It means a lot that people actually clicked on it and watched it. And as a filmmaker, that's the biggest reward, that people watched it and they dug it. They could relate. So thank you for that.
Well, TJ, I got a double bang for my buck with this film because, like Rich said, I just finished film school, so just the story you had, right? 20-year experience to make this film, and going with that, and how it is your story, and you weren't sure if you should tell it, and how it kind of just unfolded and presented itself to you. So I'm all in there. And then two, Rich and I, we saw Ignite in 06 at the Stone Pony. So we were probably at like a show that you were at, like that. Our Darkest Days, like I was 18 when that album came out. That is like, I'm from Jersey, punk scene, like that is it's in my soul. So the minute they came on the screen, I was like, oh, I am in. And you being from Jersey, so you gave me a little bit of everything with this film. I know it took you a long time. A lot of things happened in the process of this. What's your take, after being out a couple years, kind of sitting back from it? Are you proud of it?
I am. It was a long time coming, and I kind of repeated that a lot during the film. It had so many twists and turns, and you talked earlier about a sequel, part 2. I have so much footage and interviews and B-roll and stuff that I could probably do part 2 and 3. It wasn't easy. I funded it all myself, every penny. I paid everybody as we went, so I didn't own anything. The years pre-COVID, the film industry, TV, Amazon, Netflix, all that was a whole different world. So for an independent filmmaker, there was an opportunity out there to maybe make your money back, right? So if I put some money out there and break even, I'd be happy. I just had to, a little passion project. I got to do it, got to finish it. It's done great. COVID hit and everything just went completely upside down, as the world knows. So, Amazon stopped taking independent films. Netflix put all their money into the big movie stars, and because the big screen wasn't happening. So there was a lot of stuff where I thought I was going to make my money back maybe plus, and that just imploded on me, and I wound up really losing my shirt monetarily. But like I said earlier, my biggest reward lately is getting a text or a Facebook message or something from somebody in wherever part of the world they watch the film, and they can relate, whether they're a 1980s fan of the Skid Row and big hair bands, or punk rock, Agnostic Front, like you mentioned, Ignite, and they could relate. They remember me, they saw me, whatever. They like the music, the band. All that stuff comes full circle when somebody just says "Hey, good job," because I did get I shouldn't say a lot. I did get some pushback from some people saying that you're not really the guy that should be explaining this, and I have some inconsistencies with a couple of things, and you're not credible enough. So I just take that with a grain of salt, and look, this is my story, my perspective, and I think that based on what I could edit and put out there at the time, I think I have the best film possible. I had a really great editor, and yeah, I'm proud of it.
Rich, I know you have a question, but I just wanted to add to the credibility of the film. The minute you had the roadie that was there with Cliff Burton, there's your credibility right there. Because to me, I was like, how do you get this dude? How's this dude telling this story in this film? And that's like it might be the first story, but it's in the beginning. I'm like, from there, I'm like, and as I'm watching the film, I'm looking you up, and I'm like, has this dude been on Dean Del Rey's podcast? Like, how has this dude not been on Dean Del Rey's podcast yet? Like, yeah, I'm sorry.
That's okay. So Aiden Mullen, and it's funny, a lot. So I started, the hardcore, the 80s hair metal bands with some local bands in Jersey, and then went to the MOD, SOD, and Billy Milano introduced me to Agnostic Front. And then my career kind of just, bloomed, the ripple effect from there in the business. And the cool part about all this stuff was my friends let me interview them because they trust me. But the people that didn't know me, I kind of had to be vouched for. So once I started to interview different people and they said, oh, this TJ, he's legit. It's not going to be some smut bullshit MTV type of movie. They would say, you got to interview my buddy so-so, and you got to talk to this guy. And, this guy was out with this band. So I was introduced to so many different people that I really wouldn't have normally had access to based on just starting it and talking to different people. And Aiden was one of those guys that was introduced to me through other techs and roadies on that stadium big time level. And we went to Nashville for a couple of days, and we shot a lot of interviews, but we spent 8 hours in Peter Frampton's private rehearsal studio in Nashville with Aiden as he was prepping for a tour. And just being around that aura and holding the guitar that Peter Frampton wrote all those songs about, and having Aiden tell me all the history, that we filmed 8 hours of just that, and it was amazing. And I'm a fan, and anybody that's a music fan will relate to that history of Peter Frampton. And we were literally breaking down the gear, breaking down the cameras, wrapping up for the day, and I said to him, where are you headed next? And he said something about the bus and being, still has, gets shooken up and gets nervous about being on a tour bus. And I said, oh, why? And I didn't even know he was on that bus with Metallica. That's how he's just so nonchalant and so humble about it. And I said, would you mind talking to me about that? And we put the camera back on the tripod, and we talked shit for another 2 hours. And I was like, goosebumps. It was amazing. It was amazing. And I thought that once I had that, quote unquote story from that side of the Metallica camp, then it would put more legitimacy into it. And Aiden was just gracious enough to spend his time, and he's still a good friend. He's out with Def Leppard right now. I just saw them when they came around with Motley, and that was one of the highlights of filming this movie over the past 12 years or so of actually really trying to put the storyline together. So that's how Aiden got into that stuff. So I'm glad you dug that story too, man. That's cool.
Yeah. No, that was really good.
Yeah, it was amazing. And it sounds similar with your experience in getting people to talk to you. It's kind of similar to our journey with the podcast where, as you build your catalog of people that you've talked to, it gives you more credibility. And then at first, maybe some people, they wouldn't necessarily talk to us, or they wanted to know how many followers or downloads we had. And then a year later, when we've built this bigger catalog over COVID, and then all of a sudden they're saying yes because we've got X, Y, and Z guests that have come on that have this many followers or that many followers. So it sounds kind of similar as you're in the industry and you've got some people and some connections, and then you start talking to some people and like, oh, you got to talk to this person, this person, this person. And next thing you know, like you said, you're talking to Aiden, and then he's at the end of this nonchalantly mentions this whole other amazing story that, I mean, hooks so many people that have been Metallica fans, that know the history of Metallica and what happened on that day with the bus and everything. So that's pretty amazing. I want to take a step back though. One of the things that really got me too with the film, and I want to get into your background, was, when you're kind of having this moment where you're talking about, you want to make this particular movie, and maybe not at starting out, you didn't want it to necessarily be about you. And then as it comes along, it's developing, and you're finding that it's becoming more and more about you. And you have this like pause about like, am I going to make this movie about me, or is this movie about me? And then in the most Jersey way you could possibly be, you go, fuck yeah, it's going to be about... So, I mean, it's just so many cool things. And that was another moment that, just sold me on everything. So with that being said, being a Jersey guy, where did you grow up? Where'd you go to high school? How did all that lead you? And I know you talk about it a little bit in the movie, but what are your roots?
Yeah, I grew up in South Brunswick, New Jersey. It's a small town right dead smack between Princeton University and Rutgers University. I went to a Catholic grammar school, and then went to St. Peter's High School in New Brunswick, which is on the Rutgers campus. And I went there to play basketball. I was like the young jock kid, grew up church every Sunday, altar boy, youth group, CYO throughout up until high school. And then junior, senior year, started to kind of mix with the wrong crowd and kind of went down a wrong path and got in a fight with the basketball coach, quit them, went to go wrestled, I went the wrong path. Went right to work for construction. Bailed on college and, a real college. I went to a technical school for audio engineering. And then I just really stuck with construction. And like I said in the movie, I was working for some local Jersey bands that, move some gear, drink some beer, meet some girls. And that just kind of evolved into taking it a little more seriously and making a career, a part-time career, on the road. So it was kind of weird how that all morphed from, clean cut altar boy, Catholic schoolboy, and then, turn 18, first tattoo, get your nipples pierced, and, start hanging out with clubs, with bands. But yeah, that's basically it, man. There's nothing dramatic. I had no major story of my parents. I have two younger brothers. My parents took care of us. We were, middle class. Both my parents worked to put us through school. Very grateful and blessed for what they sacrificed for us kids. And it's just by chance that I got hooked up with the right people at the right time and went to the studio and, interning at Steve Evans. He produced the MOD Rhythm of Fear record, and then actually played live on a couple of showcases with Megaforce Records and at the Limelight, New York City, and some other clubs. So I teched for Steve, and I shouldn't even say that. I carried his shit around in New York City, and I guess you guys would relate to this. The East Coast, the New York, the New Jersey, kind of that sometimes over the top attitude and no bullshit and let's get to work, let's do this type of mentality that I inherited got me noticed and said, all right, this guy's not fucking around. We need this guy on the road with us. Billy Milano liked what I saw, and and that was it. That just it just took off. And since my first tour in 1991, I always had video cameras. I mean, we were talking before flip phones and flip cameras rather, and iPhones and all that stuff. I always had a video camera, so we're always fucking around with stupid cameras. And then when I went to Europe, I took it really serious and spent like $3,000 on an 8mm with the tapes and everything, and just started documenting everything. I didn't know if I was going to be able to go back, and luckily I kept all that footage, and that's kind of what sparked the movie and in incorporating some of that old stuff into the film. So yeah, it's kind of a cool little path, and very blessed and grateful to have the opportunities that I did throughout those 20 years on the road.
Yeah, Jimmy and I often talk about that Jersey mentality, that mindset of we're just going to show up and we're going to outwork people, and that's how we're going to get noticed. So it's good to hear that's kind of what got you noticed. It got you to where you're going. It's just like, I'm here, I showed up, and I'm going to outwork everyone here, and let's see where that takes me. Most important question we're probably going to ask you this whole podcast. I know this is kind of off topic, but you're kind of in you're right on that borderline. So we got to know, TJ, is it Taylor ham or pork roll?
Pork roll, dude. Pork roll.
All right.
North Jersey.
Giant pork roll, you're in. You're an honorary.
It's funny. We moved from the Manalapan, which is like the freehold, which is still considered Central Jersey. And then we come in just an hour south to Manahawk and Stafford, LBI area. And that's like, I'm surrounded. It's all Philly. It's a whole different world down here. And I'm in Taylor Ham area. But for the past couple years, I've really been more plant-based than anything. So I haven't had any of that. I can't tell you the last time I had a slice of pork roll, unfortunately.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I love it. I see it. I crave it. I want it, but I just know it's a bad decision, especially now that I got this training coach, and if he knows what my diet is, he's going to kick my ass, and I just got that much more work to do. So, yeah, man, pork roll all the way till I die.
Heck yeah. We're team pork roll all the way through, so.
But yeah, it's funny. Sometimes the Jersey attitude, the work ethic and the over the top, like, let's do this, is great for a lot of things in life. And then as soon as you leave this area, people are like, whoa, dude.
Pump the brakes, bro.
I got thrown out of production studios and places out in California for just showing up, bringing people T-shirts to say, hey, I'm here, let's work, let's have a meeting, you want to talk shit? And they're like, whoa, you can't come without an appointment. I said, I just flew 3,000 fucking miles to your office, and you're going to, you don't want to talk to me? Like, all right, fuck you, I don't need you then. You don't want to work? I'm done. So it helped me a lot, but it hurt me.
It hurts sometimes, yep.
But my whole thing was, this is me, right? So yeah, I could turn it down a notch. I can take a step back, but when it comes to work ethic and let's do this, and especially when it's my dime and my film and this is what I want to do, if you want to take that approach, I don't need you. You don't have to tell me you don't need me, because I already made the decision I don't want you. Move on. Next, let's go. And that's kind of how this whole thing went. Yeah, we had some offers. We had other production houses. We had people that were interested and like, yeah, this is great. I don't know if you guys went to the website, but the trailer that we had, there was one trailer before that I had to remove from the website because of when the film got released, it had some music that I didn't have rights to. But the trailer for the film won numerous amounts of film festivals just for the trailer division. So I was getting a lot of traction from that. And like everybody else, they love it. They want to work with you. They want to write the check. And then when it comes down to sitting down with a pen, everybody bailed. So, but it is what it is. It's a learning experience. I could say I'm a filmmaker, and here I am. That's it,
You're a hell of a filmmaker, because, sir, we've watched a shit ton of bad documentaries in the past 4 years. Rich has gone through this with me as I've gone through film school. We watched some bad things, and this was this was great. This wasn't
Well,
just
thank you very
like,
much. I mean,
oh, man,
Andy, yeah,
this was
yeah.
this
Listen,
was
I watch the same thing. I go on these channels, and I'm a big doc fan, and I'm like, how did anybody fund this? And how I don't
where's
get
your
it.
B-roll?
Yeah, I
You
got
know?
tons, man. I got
You
tons.
had
Now I
so
got
much B-roll, which was great.
yeah. Yeah, Andy Stroll, who edited, and he was the one that really kind of pushed me to incorporate my story because I had so much of the old school footage that I had, and he knew me for years outside of my music business. That he put that together, and then John Mangan was another guy. He went to film school. I worked for his band for years, and those two guys really did a lot of collaborating behind the scenes, behind my back, and kind of just edited these chapters together and convinced me to move forward. So those guys were very instrumental because of making the film that you saw, because I had a whole different type of storyline. I wanted to be like the Michael Moore type of investigative documentary guy that was just gonna tell the world how this business works from a roadie perspective. And obviously that film never happened. You got my fucked up story.
I think that's what makes the connection for people.
Yeah.
You know, it makes that personal connection of how people can relate to it.
Yeah, no, thank you. And there were some people too that watched the film on my recovery side that didn't know that I was, it had this past life, but then saw me from, drinking and drugging on the road, and through that whole 80s, 90s into 2000s thing, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, that was really a legitimate thing. And then being able to tour sober. I mean, 2000, I guess 8, 9 is when I really started to see there was more AA meetings backstage than there were keg parties, which was like really super cool. And then I got to meet all the sober people that you hear about. You got to meet them, and it made that life and that element a lot easier to deal with. And by the grace of God, I'm still sober today, coming up on 18 years. So it's been a good journey.
Well, since you brought that up, there's another thing that really struck home with me too. At one point towards the end of the film, where you talk about similar to what you talk about by the grace of God, and you're still here and all that stuff, and you get a little emotional about talking about how there has to be a guardian angel that was out there looking out for you, and I've felt like that certain times in my life too, and that definitely hit home with me too. That I at certain times feel that looking back, if there wasn't someone up there looking out for me, that I probably wouldn't be here right now. So that definitely resonated with me. So I appreciate you opening up like that and getting into that sort of stuff.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. And I'm sure everybody has those moments, and if you haven't yet, you probably will at some point in your life. You probably had it, at the Jersey Devil 100, right in the Pine Barrens. There's somebody watching you.
Definitely.
But the cool part about what I did was that I got to finish it, and I've lost a lot of friends. Whether it was drinking, drugging, car accidents, whatever, and you go through the extreme life that I did, and you look back and you're like, wow, it's amazing that I lived through that. I mean, and there was a lot of stupid shit, a lot of stuff that I was not thinking clearly on, and I survived, thank God. And looking back now, you think about the people that you could have hurt, like the ripple effect. Of how your drinking and drugging affects other people and around you, and you don't notice it because you're inside this little bubble. And the biggest thing, my parents really took care of us kids growing up, and I grew up in a very loving household. And to think about me going out there and drinking and drugging and destroying my body, my brain, and just being a complete mamalouk, it hurt me to know that I did that to them, And that last interview was filmed in Asbury Park at the Paramount Theater. A good friend of mine, Jason Dermer, let me in for the day to film that. And I didn't know those questions were coming. John and Andy put all that together to kind of just fill in what was missing pieces on the storyline that they had helped me create. So yeah, I didn't know that was coming either. But even when I speak at meetings, I get the same way, and I get choked up, and it's emotional, and it should be happy that I survived and I'm here. But I always got to remember those hard times and go back to being a beginner and focus on why I'm sober now, and that's strings. It goes back and strings along the whole story. So I'm glad it resonated with you, man. That's cool. Thank you. For
Yeah,
that.
very powerful.
Yeah, I was taking the glasses, the blue blockers off a couple times to clear the tears for sure. So you got me there. And as you're talking, we hear the passion, and you talk about letting your editors help you. And I know, as someone who's directing a film or making a film, it's your baby, and sometimes you become really attached to things, and they say you got to kill your babies. So at what point did you know you could trust these guys and let them go? And then at what point, when you had other people helping you or other people who wanted to film but had a creative vision, you're like, nah. Like, how did you know to manage that? And when did you kind of, all right, I have to give here, and nah, like, where was that?
Yeah, and that's hard to put my finger on it. So in the very beginning, I was by myself, and I would set up my camera with the audio. I would have the camera over my shoulder. I'd have the lavaliers hooked up, and I would be doing the interview myself. And every once in a while, looking this way to make sure the guy was still on the screen. And I either got a great shot and screwed up the audio, or I got great audio and it was out of focus, or I got distracted by the screen and couldn't do the interview. I had an early learning curve of a respect for those people that do audio for film and the DPs. So I had a lot of trust in those people that I hired to get me through different interviews and stuff, so I could really focus on doing an interview and creating the content, capturing the content that I wanted to get from that individual person. So when I asked Andy to do a lot more, so I had like an East Coast team and a West Coast team, and Andy Stroll on the East Coast team, he was really hesitant to edit stuff he didn't shoot. So I had to push him to like, dude, I want this and I want this line here. Well, he would give me the old, that doesn't really work. Let's try this. And it was all the stuff he shot. So I kind of get that. And I really just let go a little early because of the footage that I couldn't get, right? I couldn't roll into Madison Square Garden. And even though I had the band's permission, the roadie's permission, I had all my friends were like, yeah, dude, come film us. I couldn't get on grounds with the camera. I couldn't pay facility fees. I couldn't hire unions to carry my bag. So I couldn't get a lot of the footage that I wanted to get. So we used my stuff as like fill-ins, like little placeholders. And since once we get somebody that's cooler or more important or a better story, we'll just slide it in there and it'll work out. So I let go pretty early to let those guys kind of just roll with it. And we would meet every week and, all right, new edit. What do you got? What do you got on this chapter? Let's do this. And, we went back and forth a lot. And then we started putting the film together. And then we got, an interview like Aiden or Chris Samarczyk out in San Francisco and got turned on to this whole other thing. And it took a left turn. The film was like, all right, well, we got to put this in there. And that's cool now. All right, how do we incorporate that? So, I joke with my team saying, dude, this is guerrilla style. I got a script, I got questions, I had it formatted, but if something happens and we're just gonna go rogue, fuck it, let's record it, let's film everything, and we'll figure it out later, we'll fix it in post, and they want to kill me for that. But I think that's what made this film so eclectic, and I captured all these different genres and the vast amount of different people that might have the same job but are so different in this world. It was awesome.
How much do you think the process of it taking as long as it did, you actually got the best product you absolutely could, because you put 2 decades into it?
Yeah, man. At some point you just got to say it's done. And the Garden State Film Festival is one of the biggest in Jersey, and they're out of Asbury Park. And I submitted a 90% cut to them, and it was selected. So I said, all right, listen, I'm a Jersey guy. I'm homegrown. Asbury Park's 20 minutes from my house. I got to get this film done, because if it gets selected, it got selected for the festival, but it didn't get selected to screen. And I really wanted it to be shown in my hometown. I played all the clubs in I worked with a band in all the clubs in Asbury Park. So that meant a lot to me. So we really focused on that period of time to get that edit done. This is the best that we could possibly do with the time that we have, with the money that I had left in my pocket, to make the deadline to submit, and hopefully we get selected to screen. And it did. It screened at the Paramount Theater, ironically where my last interview was done, the last bit of filming that we did for the movie. And it won Best Documentary and won for Homegrown, which means the New Jersey Filmmaker. So it just all kind of came full circle. So I think I could probably still keep going if I didn't have some kind of deadline or my back up against the wall. Because as long as I had money to pay, I could just keep interviewing people and editing, and there's a whole nother side to this stuff. And I'm sorry if I'm rambling.
No.
But before this became a doc, it was a reality show. In 05, 06, this new thing called reality TV was going to come out, and I was writing a book, and a friend of mine in LA said, you got to really focus and put something together for a reality TV show. So we were pitching that, and I thought that this film would be a pilot, episode for a recurring series. So I was kind of saving some footage and saving some interviews and be like, oh no, when it goes to series and we're going to be, on a weekly show on cable, I'll save this interview for that guy and this and that. So there's still a lot that I'm working on, and I still do get some calls on that. But I just had to, this is it, we're done. Let's get the edit done for Garden State Film Festival, and that's it. And that's what happened.
Well, congratulations winning your first winning 2 awards at your first film festival. You, my friend, are a filmmaker, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, thank you. I just wish I made money at it, like everybody else.
Well,
but
I think with this film, it's gonna be one of those things you're gonna over time, and I know it sucks because you need to eat and you have a family, so I understand that, but. This just hasn't been seen by the right people, in my opinion. Like, this is gold. It just needs to be seen by people, and that's just going to take time.
Yeah, I hope you're right. It's funny because, it's like a record deal with a band. They get a record deal and they get signed and they get a big budget, and then little by little, all that budget, after everybody takes their piece. I think I get like 1/10 of a penny for every view on Amazon. So it's like. It's crazy. I think I've made about $160 in the last 2 years since it's been released. It's absurd. It's comical at this point. But again, my gratification is meeting you guys like this. You guys dig the film, and we get to talk shit and have fun, and it's great. That's the biggest reward for me.
Have you submitted to any other film festivals?
I stopped. I did. It got selected. It's won a couple here and there. The trailer did very well, and then the film did okay. But the purpose of the film festivals, in my eyes, was to have it screened by somebody that could write a check and buy it and take it to the next level. And it just didn't happen. And like I said, pre-COVID was a different world. I think I probably had a better shot to be seen, and not so much seen on a big screen in a theater, but to be screened maybe cable, maybe a Showtime or HBO would have picked it up for a small amount of time. But it didn't happen. So if it does, what I think too with this film is that it's a timeless piece. Like, I don't think it could expire, right? The characters, the guys that I interviewed, yeah, they got a little older. Yeah, maybe they're not with that band anymore, or these people aren't working for that outfit. But I think that the storyline, could last for the next 10, 15 years. And if somebody did happen to dig it and wanted to pick it up, I think it could be watched at any time and still be successful.
No doubt, for sure. Are you still working on a book?
No,
No.
no. I begged the book a long time ago. It's funny, I have these ideas about other docs and other ideas and other series. So I would write a lot of treatments and a lot of ideas to pitch. Everything from, the pro volleyball scene in Southern California to human rights and torture in the prison systems and solitary confinement. I have so much that I write, and it's just a matter of putting it in front of the right people, and maybe someday I'll be able to do that for a living. But for right now, I'm pretty content. Right now, I got a little house and I'm close to the beach. I'm really digging my endurance training and running, and being outdoors, and just living. That's basically it. We'll see what happens.
I want to get into the journey into the plant-based and the endurance training and all that stuff, but I'd be remiss if we didn't ask about how you got into it with Ignite, because like Jimmy said, we are, I think we're more punk rock people than maybe like I'm more of an 80s guy, so I can relate to the hair bands and stuff, and I still like some of that stuff, but things like Ignite and that sort of stuff, that's like my college era where I was just filled with piss and vinegar and an angry little man. So how did you jump from kind of like the 80s, the metal bands, the hair bands and that sort of stuff to getting tied in, and what was the difference between working with those sorts of bands and then working with a band like Ignite?
Yeah, totally different. So, the side of the stage at an 80s hair band, it's melodic. It's Bon Jovi, Skid Row. American Angel was the band I worked for a long time, but it was the same type of music. And the sides of the stage are roped off, barricaded securities. Nobody goes back, touches guitars and electronics, and all the program changes. And then I got to work for MOD/SOD, and it was a free for all. There was people jumping all over into the drum kit backstage. That whole hardcore scene was something that I was not really accustomed to. So it was a lot different. I had to adapt a little bit. So working for Agnostic Front, we're doing some Europe tours, and it's a really funny story, but Agnostic Front is all Dickies, Doc Martens, Lower East Side, wallet chains, real tough guy shit. And I had bleach blonde hair, Air Jordans, like Michigan Wolverine basketball pants. I'm like totally didn't fit in with these guys. I was like the total misfit surfer dude, sport jock. In fact, Rob Kabula from Agnostic Front bought me a whistle and used to call me the frustrated gym teacher. I was this jock with this attitude. And I had this bleach blonde hair cruising around Europe and all these things. And people would either yell at me, they'd yell Choke, which is the singer from Slapshot. And I'd turn around and like, oh, sorry, I thought you were Choke. Or they would call me Zoli. And I'm like, who the fuck is this fucking Zoli? Stop calling me fucking Zoli. Like, I don't know who these fucking people are. So we do this big festival in Belgium, and Ignite's playing the festival. I'm like, fuck. Where the fuck? So now I'm like, get off the bus. I go into the backstage. Where the fuck is Zoli? I got to meet this fucking Zoli guy. And I walk into Ignite's dressing room, and Brett and Zoli are there with their Southern California surfer dude, the Vans, bleach blonde hair. I look like their third brother. I was like, holy shit. Now I know why people are calling me Zoli. And ever since then, we became friends. It was the weirdest thing. And I was drinking, they were drinking at the time, and we crossed paths a lot. We had such a blast. I mean, Agnostic Front, they were drinking beers, and they were, I had great times with Stigma, but they were a little more reserved on that end. I was the complete fucking maniac, like Jaeger and, any beer we can get from any brewery in Germany. And then, piercing my own nipple, piercing my nuts, lighting pubic hair on fire, like the complete fucking drunken Mama Luke. And I fit right in with Ignite. And then they said, hey, what are you doing after this tour? I said, I'm going back home for a little bit. Like, well, we're going out. Why don't you come with us? And we've been brothers ever since. And they're out now. Right now they're doing some European runs with the new singer. And there's parts of me that wish I was with those guys because they're really true brothers. We really had a good time. And the music's phenomenal too.
And he filled in for Pennywise for a minute, right? And
Yeah,
then Misfits.
Yeah, he did
Yeah.
a Misfits stint for a little while. That was I didn't see any of that, but we did some Misfit shows together, and yeah, Jerry and Doyle, those guys, Jersey guys. I mean, they're great too. And then when Jim left Pennywise for a stint, Zoli jumped in and did some stuff and did a record with them. And unfortunately, during that tour with Pennywise, Zoli hurt his back pretty bad, and that kind of imploded a little bit. And then he did some Ignite stuff, and yeah, he finally left the band. I think he left music a little bit. I don't keep too much in touch with him anymore, but the rest of Ignite are they're still doing strong, and I love those guys. I'm so happy I met them. They're definitely my brothers.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. That's you got some great stories.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, a ton.
All the European stuff too, and just kind of seeing that aspect of things in the documentary, how different those festivals are over there, and we don't even get a glimpse of that over here. But you mentioned when you got into being a roadie, standing out, being from New Jersey, having that work ethic. Are there any traits that you take with you from what made you a good roadie, or you learn from being a roadie or making your film that you use in your daily life, in your daily business?
Yeah, I really learned a lot from Billy Milano on the business side, and I say this in every interview and podcast I do. I learned so much from Billy, and half of it is the stuff that I take with me throughout life. What to do, how to act, make sure you do this, make sure you do that, and then the other half is shit not to do. Like, don't fucking be that guy. Don't do this. Don't do, and I still have those faults, but I'm trying to learn from those mistakes and treat people with a little more empathy and compassion and be different. But yeah, everything that I've learned, and crossing borders was a huge thing I've learned about different cultures and people and beliefs. We're talking 1991. The euro wasn't even a euro yet. I was still dealing with, Deutschmarks and French francs and guilders and all different denominations of money. And a lot of people didn't speak English. The young kids were just starting to get English as a second language in school. So the communication was different. And that taught me to really open my eyes and be patient about other people in general, besides the culture and everything. And I learned so much from that. I deal with that on a daily basis here as well. So yeah, Billy taught me a lot of stuff, but again, just another opportunity to take what I've learned abroad and bring it home.
Is the plant-based stuff, does that come from like some of the punk rock guys going that way and seeing that? How'd you fall into that?
No, it had nothing to do with me. So we the whole straight edge thing, X's on the wrists and all that stuff. Like, I was like, get out of here. I did so many tours with these vegan kids, and they were skinny and frail, and I'm like, dude, you got to eat a piece of meat, put some fucking, come on, And when I was drinking, I was like 220, 230. And yeah, and in Europe it was schnitzel, anything you get your hands on. The food was rough for me to learn on that end about my diet. But I'm 54. I turned 54 in April, and 4 years ago when I hit 50, something happened where I was like, I'm running out of time. I really went down this dark path about, fuck, I only got like 10 more ski seasons left, and then 10 more surfing summers left before my body might give out. So let me try different things. I got to start taking better care of myself. I don't want 10 more seasons. I need 12. I need 15. So I just tried it. And besides the physical changes that you go through, I went through some mental changes. I just felt better overall. I started to think more clearly. It was a weird, different effect than I've ever had before. And it's like anything else, when it works for you, you just stay with it. So, I'm 90%. I really try to shy away. I try to make healthy choices. But like last week, we went to Atlantic City and went to a steakhouse, and I had my first bone-in ribeye, and got years. If it's not an elk steak I can get out in Montana, I'm like, I'll just have some tofu salad, or I eat a lot of greens. But to go back to your question, no, it had nothing to do with the music scene, nothing. It was just a life-changing thing I started to do at 50. And then with that came, let me try running. I'm not a runner. Let me try that. And that's kind of, another thing that's evolved to a place that I'm very grateful that I'm doing it.
If it wasn't the music, was it anything specifically, or had you just kind of heard different people experimenting with plant-based stuff? Was there any one particular thing, or you're just like, I've heard about this, let me give it a try?
Yeah, so when I started during COVID, I started to run because I wanted to just get in better shape, and I was going down that rabbit hole of YouTube, and I guess maybe just listen to a lot of Rich Roll because I was training for triathlon, and so I got to learn how to swim, got to learn how to breathe, got to get a bike, all that stuff, and running came first because it was the easiest. I got sneakers and I got a street, so fuck it, I'll run. I'll figure everything else out. And I guess learning the triathlon things and just being introduced to, plant-based, I kind of just gravitated towards that. And then, of course, Forks Over Knives, and then, Game Changers and all those other docs that come with that opened up my eyes a little bit more. Yeah, that's basically it. Yeah, I don't have any of those big lightning bolt types of stories where, holy shit, this is what changed my life. It's just, I'm just a normal fucking guy that got turned on to something and was like, wow, I dig this. And I feel good. So fuck it, I'm going to stay there.
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of it. I often tell people you are an experimental one. And what works for me may not work for you, and vice versa. And what worked for me 3 years ago might not be working for me now. So, we just talked to Dr. Douglas Graham last week about the 80-10-10. And so I've been stuffing my face with cantaloupe and watermelon as much as I can. So, it's a beautiful thing to be able to experiment with yourself. And that's the beauty of life. I'm curious, though, how did that steak work out for you? Was it
dude, it was good. It was good. Yeah, it was great. It was good. But I had my spinach. I had a half a potato and spinach. But let me go back, Rich, because I like what you said there. What works for one doesn't work for another. And I've been meaning to tell you, the burpees don't work for me, man. We got to change that.
Okay. No, they don't. Oh, okay.
Nobody likes burpees, but they fucking work. Fuck.
Yeah, they do. I've been doing a burpee challenge with one of my friends this month, and I've been doing the Navy SEAL ones where you do push up to a mountain climber, and we started the first of the month to do one, and I was like, well, let's just add one, for each day, do a burpee. And then once we started to get up to like double digits, I was like, dang, I got to start breaking these up into sets of 5 or something, because I just can't go through them continuously.
Yeah, burpees and pull-ups, pull-ups / chin-ups. Man, I'm so weak at that shit. I know I got to do more to get better. I get it. It's just hard. I'd just rather go run 10 miles and sweat it out. You know what I mean? Yeah. But no, thanks for that. I had to throw that in there, bro.
No worries. When did the CrossFit come into all this?
It was just another thing that I was trying. I tried. We did. Stephanie, my fiance, is a fitness freak too, a gym rat from back in the day. So we would go on these trial things for 6 lessons. We did TRX, right? Then we did hot yoga. Then we did regular yoga. Then we did all these different things. And CrossFit was one of those things that I tried, and I got a lot out of it. I really love that mixing it up and muscle confusion type of shit. And I really felt the best after those. So I stuck with that. But we still do all stuff just to try different things.
What are you trying right now? Anything?
No, right now I'm just sticking to the CrossFit. I haven't been very steady with it. I go here and there. I'm really focusing on your training, but I just the woods and the trail running is a thing. I want a belt buckle from Leadville. That's like that's my ultimate thing. If not next year, the year after. It's a long list of some things that I really want to do soon. Everest Base Camp. I'd love to hit Patagonia trails and just being out there and pushing myself to see what I can really do. is exciting to me, and that's basically what I'm just focusing on now.
Well, when you get the selection for Leadville, you got two crewers and pacers right here for you. So we've both had our fair share of both. Well, I've run it 3 times, but I've also crewed and paced several times, and Jimmy's my crew chief when we're together. So
Cool.
You're in good hands if you get in. We'll take care of you. We'll get you to the finish line for sure.
Good news. Thanks for that. Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
And so what?
Shotgun Hope Pass, Rich.
Okay. Like I said, we connected through Craig, and you were wanting to do a 50K, and so you had that experience. And so tell us a little bit about your first 50K. What that was like, and how the suffering was.
Yeah, Craig's awesome. I mean, that was another thing that I just saw. I saw an ad about this runners club that met every Monday night, and they do a 2 or 4 mile run. Fuck it. I said the only way you get better is by hanging with people that are better than you. So I joined their little group, and I was running. And listen, the first month or so, 4 miles was fucking rough. Keeping up with these guys doing 9.5, 10-minute miles. Fuck, I thought I was gonna die. And then up at Blue Mountain, I saw because we ski there a lot, and I saw they had they had a big log out in one of the ski runs I could see from the lift, and it had the Spartan spray paint logo on the log, and I was like, what the fuck is that? So I did a little more research, and they do the Spartan race at Blue. So that was my first one. It was a 10K because they don't have a 5K Spartan trail, and I was like 6 miles. All right, so then I started to train just on the street. I was getting into the woods a little bit, so I did it. All right, I can do this. I get it. It's the elevation gain. It's a whole different world, but it was a great learning experience. And you finish the race. They give you the medal that you finished it, and on the back they give you a third of another medal. What the fuck is this? Like, I got a broken medal. Then I find out that there's 2 more that you got to get and finish to complete the circle, the trifecta. Fuck me. Now I got to go do the next one. What's the next one? It's a half marathon. All right. So I train a little. Now I get a little bit more serious because now half marathon, all right, fuck, it's 13 to 16 miles. All right, let's jump in with both feet. So then I down the YouTube rabbit hole trying to learn shit and do this and do that and hydrate and nutrition. Don't eat this, eat that. You're gonna shit your pants. You're gonna throw up. Oh fuck! It was nuts. And I did that in Lake Placid, and I did pretty good. I walked a lot of inclines, and then to get the trifecta was the 50. I said I got to do this now, and that's when I got really serious and said I need somebody to guide me because I want to finish. I don't care about winning. I just want to finish, and that's when I told Craig, I'm looking for somebody that can help me. Who do you got? He's like, well, I'm not around here, but some, guy in North Carolina. I'm like, I really wanted to run with somebody. I wanted to be coached, but he spoke very highly of you, and then we connected, and it works. I get it now. I get the VO2. It's great. I didn't understand a lot of your stuff in the beginning, like 13-minute miles. Like I could do better, coach. I can do better than 13. But now I know now I get why. Listen to your coach, do to 13, go slow, because when you get to mile 22, 25, 27, fuck, it's rough, man. It's rough. I learned a lot in that race. That was fun. So thank you for all that work with me.
Yeah. And you won your age group.
I did. I never got the final number. There wasn't a lot of people in the age group.
It don't matter. There's no asterisk next to your name. It just says first.
Medal, yeah.
So real quick, after the race, I'm recovering, and my Stephanie's there with my dog, and we're in the big parking lot out in front of Bear Mountain, this beautiful lodge, and the whole field. And there was a guy that had come up to me. He finished behind me, and he says, "Man, I was following you. I was chasing you for the last 5 miles. I just couldn't pass you." And I was like, "Oh, thanks." I said, "I thought I took it easy, but real nice guy." We were talking, and it turns out he was under 50 years old, and he says to me, I hope I can be in your shape when I turn, 54. And I was like, fuck, really? Like, I think that I'm old and slow and decrepit, and here's this guy coming that was chasing me the whole race. So that felt good. And then hitting under eight hours was another win, because I had like Goggins in my head, like, don't slow down, let's go, finish, keep going, just move forward, go, 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 go. If you have to walk, walk. If you can run, go. Just keep going, keep going, keep going. And then that panned to be fair for me, because it was 7 hours, 55 minutes. And I was like, yes, I broke the 8-hour threshold. Like, that was pretty cool for me, for personally, my personal record.
Heck
And
yeah.
again, I think a lot of it goes back to your training program, that the last 8 weeks. It paid off. It paid off, Coach. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. I'm glad Craig connected us, and glad things are working out. And I'm really happy we were able to get this on in this conversation. I always love when we can connect with true Jersey people.
Oh,
you know,
Mama
it's
Luke. I heard Mama Luke like 3 times. I'm good for the week.
so yeah. It's Jimmy being in Colorado, me being in South Carolina. It's always nice to be able to get that feeling of home and stuff like that. So it's been really awesome, and we're really appreciative of your time. We've got Jim. Do you have any other
Question just on the run and stuff. I know we want to be super respectful of your time, but you mentioned kind of the learning curve in the beginning, TJ, with kind of having to slow down to speed up almost, or realizing like, hey, I can't run my PRs for a 50K. And then you mentioned, having that realization of having to walk, and that's just something that happens when you do an ultra, you do a race, so, over a marathon, especially on a trail, you're going to have to walk. So do you think there's anything that you can kind of prepare for that learning curve of, maybe not understanding what Rich is giving to you at the beginning, or do you just think that goes with diving in and doing a 50K and learning along the way?
I thought in the beginning that this guy's in North Carolina. He doesn't know me. He's not watching me run. He doesn't know that I used to be an athlete. He doesn't know that I'm pretty in decent shape. He doesn't know. Fuck it. 13. I'm going to show him. So when he goes to check my thing on VO2, that I was doing 10 and a half, 11-minute miles, like, I got this, And then people, and they even say it on YouTube and stuff. Listen to your coach. Listen to your coach. Nasal breathing. That took me a long time to get used to too, and I really believe that had a big part in the 50K, of being able to nasal breathe almost the whole race, being able to keep my composure and being there. I wasn't winded at all. My legs, my knees gave out before anything else, which I was shocked at. I thought I had a better physical. Prepared physically better than I thought my breathing and nutrition was going to be the worst, but it was my knees and just cramping. So, listen to your coach. If he says do 13, if he says walk for a half a mile and run a mile, that's what I do. The best I can. And it's harder. Sometimes it's harder to run slower. That took me a little bit while to get used to too. So.
Yeah,
It's cool, man.
Rich will tell you, I've been running up a mountain and he's been walking behind me. He's like, bro, stop running.
Well, do you do this? Do you do Red Rocks? Are you one of those guys that go up and down the Red Rocks and train?
No, we never did. We go to, there's actually a trail that's like right next there. We go there.
Okay, cool. Yeah, my fiance's brother lived out in Arvada for years, and we're big Loveland people. Like, Loveland's our home. I love it out there. I don't love Denver downtown. I don't love the traffic. You could keep all that, but when I get to Idaho Springs, headed towards Loveland, I'm like, this is living, man. It's nice.
Yeah. Did your journey as a roadie, did it ever take you to a show at Red Rocks?
Red Rocks, no.
No?
No, it was punk rock. So we played. I'm trying to think of the place we played in Denver.
Ballroom?
Yeah, it's such a blur back then. But I was out with Skid Row, and we did the Kiss tour in 2000. So we played the Pepsi Center in Denver, which was super cool. amazing tour. That was one of the highlights of my life. But you know, it's still the backstage in the dressing room of the arena, and sometimes we were stuck in locker rooms. It wasn't very glamorous. But Denver was cool. Yeah, there was a radio station out there. There was a guy like Uncle Nasty, I think was his name, an old DJ. And so we would do all the interviews and that kind of stuff. And yeah, just bounced around downtown Denver, and that was it. That was it. But not Red Rocks. That's one of the places we didn't get to play. But I've been in CBGB's 1,400 fucking times, which people have never got to play there. So it's a trade-off, right?
Yeah. Max to Kansas City?
Max's Kansas City was done when I got there. No.
Okay.
The Marquee in London is another famous, like, CB's type of joint that we always started our tours in London. I got to play there a lot, which was amazing. A couple in Paris that, you know, they're not there anymore. They're iconic clubs. But some of the big ones in America never got there.
Do you have a favorite, like, country or city in Europe that you got to take in while you were over there?
I think Prague was our favorite. It was,
yeah.
Prague is just a beautiful, and I have great friends in Berlin and Frankfurt, and I love Germany, and the people are great. But you know, Prague is just so beautiful and rad, and all the World War II stuff, like, you know, the building, and they respect that era, and they remember it. They're not proud of it, but they remember it, and they take pride in their town. So, like, a lot of the buildings will have bullet holes still on the side from the war, and the planes shooting the buildings, and plaques, you know, in memory from World War II. Where here, and even a lot of other countries and cities around the world, they want to forget that past and move on, and the kids are spray painting and graffiti shit, and it's lost. But Prague was probably one of my favorites for sure.
TJ, do you have a best band no one's ever heard of?
A lot. You know, I was blessed to, when, you know, in the 80s, working for this band called American Angel. You know, that Bon Jovi, Skid Row type of music. There were so many other local acts that was opening up for us, you know, on stage, and a ton. I mean, I have a ton of I still have them, cassettes and even studio DAT tapes of these bands that I was like, wow, this is the next big thing. And kind of like my movie, it just goes nowhere, you know. But anything worth mentioning? Probably not. I'll probably offend more people by not mentioning them than if I did mention some other ones. So we'll just leave it at that.
All right.
Must say, and I don't know if it's the first line, but how you opened the film when the one guy, and I believe it was like when you first started filming, and he's like, first thing you do when you go to town, get your weed. I was like, I'm in.
Yeah. That's Brett Perozzi. I did the whole Skid Row tour with Brett in 2000. It was just me and him working for Skids, opening up for Ted Nugent and Kiss the Farewell Tour, which was the last tour that Peter and Ace did with Gene and Paul. So it was phenomenal. It was fantastic. But yeah, he's just that guy, and I'm totally opposite. I've never really smoked weed. I can't get that. I'm a go fast guy. And he was just like, dude, smoke weed, relax. I'm like, bro, we gotta load in. Like, fuck, come on, get your shit together, get up, let's go. He's like, dude, come on, just fucking smoke. It's relax, rock and roll. You know, we missed load-ins, and unions would yell at us, and Kiss's tour manager would yell. It was bad. But he is an awesome dude, big heart. He worked for Dee Snider with his SMFs for a long time, and he has his own band. And I had a whole doc going with him because he was a roadie to fund his bands so that one day he could get his own roadie type of thing. And he's still playing music, and he's doing a little editing now, video. He's working for Tesla right now on their tour. But another guy with a big heart, and it's just an honest, good soul. He doesn't, and no shit, that's really what he does. Every venue, everywhere we went, he'd roll into town and he'd just look for Bud all the time.
It's probably a lot easier these days.
Yeah. Now it's not even fun, right? You become 21. You become 21, you don't want to drink anymore. Like, fuck.
Yeah.
TJ, are you a coffee drinker?
Yes.
How do you brew your coffee, and how do you take it?
So French press, black, sometimes a splash of almond milk, but most of the time. So I worked in Manhattan for a long time, and I got to be a coffee snob. So I found some really good coffee houses, some really good beans, and I know a good cup of coffee from a shit cup of coffee. And I'm a $20 a pound guy right now, buying coffee, different flavors and stuff. But black, give me black. I want to taste the coffee.
What kind of bean are you sipping on right now?
Right now, it's a caramel almond. I found this local beanery, local coffee house in upstate New York where I work once a week up in the Catskills. And I try to sample and I get it. But I try all different local. I try to support mom and pops, and I'll pay a little extra dollars to get some good stuff. Craig likes the Boosker Dews in Asbury Park and Red Bank. I'm a big sponsor of those. A big supporter of the Boosker Dew coffee when I can.
Okay. Are you a light roast, medium roast, dark roast?
Between medium and dark. Love the dark, but I've been backing off a little bit. Just trying to control the caffeine a little bit. Not that that's a big deal, but in my head, the darker coffee's stronger, more caffeine. So I'm just backing off a little bit.
Okay.
Medium.
TJ, do you have any daily practices or rituals that you do on a regular basis to show up as the strongest version of yourself?
I do. So I'm still in the 12-step program. I still get these, daily meditation, daily prayers on my sobriety side. Then I have a dear friend who sends me a thought of the day, kind of on the spiritual side, and those are two things that I make sure I stop everything and read those and think about that and pray on those every day to be a better version of myself. I definitely have flaws, and I'm the first guy that'll point and call somebody out on their flaws when I have the same exact fucking flaw, like the glass houses thing. Don't throw stones, but I'm catching myself. I'm trying to live with better. With more empathy towards people, more compassion, more understanding in the world. Look, life's too short to be so angry, man, so I don't want to be as angry anymore. And, in Jersey, I don't know, you could probably relate, Rich, because you were just here, but if you're not doing like 95 on the Parkway, it's like you're standing still. So lately I've just been like, I'm not going to go past 75 today. I'm going to let every motherfucker pass me, and I'm just going to have a nice drive down the Parkway and look at the pines. And it's good for your soul, good for your head, that kind of shit. So daily rituals, that's really what I'm focusing on lately, my spiritual side, my meditation, and just trying not to be so angry.
I can relate.
Yeah, you make me realize I don't have anxiety. I'm just from New Jersey.
Yeah, totally.
TJ, what are you listening to right now? Music, podcasts, audiobooks? Are you reading anything?
So yeah, I do a lot of. I'm just in the middle of a book called Do Hard Things. Ed Milet right now is like one of my favorite podcasts that I'm catching up on and re-listening to a lot of things. I listen to Rich Roll here and there just for some training stuff. But then music, I'm just all over the place. I got everything from Jack Johnson to 247 Spies to Bad Brains to Skid Row and some country stuff. I like it all. I'm all over the place. I love it.
Do you have a guilty pleasure or pleasures?
Fuck. It's so funny you say that because we just left the diner down the street. I just got a nice salad. It was fucking great. But on the walk home, we got to pass like 3 ice cream places. So Stephanie says, "You want ice cream?" No, I don't want ice cream. I'm in training. And then the other half of me says, "Fuck yeah, I want ice cream." I'm a chocolate junkie. I can't walk past a piece of cake, a piece of chocolate. I can't walk past that shit without indulging. I've been pretty good for the most part. I've really gotten a lot better. But when she gives me like the pass, because she's going to buy me ice cream and I won't get yelled at, yeah, that's my guilty pleasure right now is chocolate and that kind of shit.
Totally. So what kind of ice cream do you have?
So I had a vegan, gluten-free vegan peanut butter brownie with sprinkles.
Rainbow or chocolate?
Chocolate. I get the rainbow sprinkles when we do like water ices and stuff, you know. Yeah, no, chocolate's my guilty pleasure.
I hear you. I feel you.
You know,
Right on.
And I don't feel guilty when I'm on the mountain and I got the couple of Snickers in there because I need it to fuel. It's okay when you're in endurance in that thing because I need the sugar. So that's like my pass, you know.
Absolutely, definitely. TJ, where can everyone find the film? Where do you want them to go? Where can we get this word out?
Yeah, it's on a couple of platforms. The easiest right now is Amazon Freevee, Roadie, my documentary. It's out there. The website, roadiefilm.com, is still up. It's got all the characters, and the trailer is up there for some little background knowledge on the film. That's basically it. Everything else is, I'm not promoting right now. I'm working on a couple little projects. Nothing's really worth mentioning right now. But that's it, man. Freevee, check it out, and I really hope you dig it. And people can find Roadie Film on Facebook and Instagram as well. And I really appreciate the comments, good and bad. I take them all and I learn from them. So hit me with it. I'm not afraid. I take the criticism well.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, no
TJ,
problem.
it's an honor and a pleasure.
Thanks, guys, so much. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Totally rad. Rich, well, I'll catch up with you this weekend on the training shit.
Yeah, no burpees next week.
Right, all good, bro. All good. Thanks.
Take care, TJ. Have a great night. Thank you, sir.